everything is on the table. It's Relationship Theory with Tina Laws.
Welcome back to Relationship Theory with Tina Laws. Now, before we went on break, we briefly talked about dating and what that looks like for a single parent. But before we get started into the dating world, how long, because you mentioned about both husbands and how it's no longer a relationship, we'll just put it that way, with either. Let's talk a bit about how long did you date both partners?
Right.
And how did it get to this?
Right. So with the first one, we had dated for about 9 months. This is when, they had the military base here and he was getting to leave Bermuda. And one of my friends introduced us and she was so excited because she knew him and, she knew me and I took her word for it. And so, we met and married pretty quickly. So the second time, we met at a social event and we actually dated for 2 years. But I had this rule and it still holds true even though my youngest is 23. Any guy that I'm gonna date, he cannot come and spend nights in my house. And I'm very not much into spending nights in his house, especially when you have your children around, regardless of how old your children were. So dating for 2 years and never having him stay at my house, and me not having him, vice versa. Unfortunately, I really didn't see the things I saw until I said I do.
You got married, So, and that's why we wanted to bring it up because we often hear the negative things, but we don't know the whole story. And so hearing that part of you dated for 9 months and you was gung ho, and I think we've all been gung ho in 9 months, 9 weeks we got gung ho, right? And then dating for 2 years and not staying in each other's homes. So only until you got married you found out, okay, hold on, what's going on here, and try to make it work.
And if I can add, it was 9 years between the two marriages. Because after I got divorced the first time, because I always thought I was going to get married, have the little white picket fence, and I was just like, oh, this was horrible. It was traumatic. Like, it wasn't supposed to end like this. So it was 9 years before the second one. So I mean, it like I said at the beginning, I accept that I'm the common denominator in both of those relationships. But you live and learn. And for me, I literally have a list of things that I will no longer tolerate, which is probably why I find dating very difficult.
Before you get into that list,
because
I knew that's a list. I knew you're not playing with that list. Timothy, with your relationship, and knowing now that you have such a great relationship as parents, you co-parent, wow. How long did you date?
Oh, man. I dated roughly about 4 years.
Okay.
It was a good experience. It was a great takeaway. The experience I had from that, it wasn't anything negative about it. It's just that after a time we had a difference of opinions or directions that each of us wanted to go in life, and we decided to dissolve it. But it's dating and all, it's like the Roman circus.
Right, and see, and that's you said something, and you see something that many of us have failed in is building relationship, building friendships first. And so I think with you and your ex-wife, you had the opportunity to build a relationship, around friendship. So although you went separate ways, you're still able to maintain the friendship that you had. And I think many of us miss that part. We get so, all of a sudden it's lost, and oh, he's so sexy, or she's so sexy, and he makes me laugh, or she's got money, he's got money, and all these things, that we miss the building relationship, friendship, so that when you do, if you have to walk away, children or not, you can walk away and still respect each other as much as friends. And so that's what I think, that's where I think many of us have fell short, as well as Shawnette, right, with that. So as we're moving forward now, as it relates to the dating, you're single, you got your kids, you do what you got to do. How does that look when you meet somebody, Timothy, when you meet a woman and, you're interested and you go on a date and you say, okay, this looks like it has some potential.
Yes.
How does it go when you say, I have 4 girls, 1 boy, and I have an amazing relationship with my ex? How does that look?
Well, the first thing is, being transparent with my life and having 5 children. The first question normally is, how many mothers? And
Yes.
when I respond saying 1, it sort of changes the climate, because now I'm being perceived in a different way, and then the questions come in as to what happened, why it didn't work out, and I don't go into great detail. I just say, look, it just didn't work, and we decided to go our separate ways. Yeah. The next thing would be just being restricted in a sense, because me personally, I never wanted my children to feel like they came second to anyone. So there are a lot of times when I may have a date, or I may even have a luncheon or something like that, and something comes up, one of my daughters calls or my son calls, and I have to take a rain check. And after a while, and I understand it, after a while sometimes that individual that I may be dating gets frustrated, and you have to have a dialogue and conversation. But that's pretty much the hardest thing that I think anyone has with dating, not only just myself, but any man that has children, that's devoted to his children.
Devoted, yes.
Because you just can't pick up and just do anything you like. That's just the truth of it.
I'm sitting here talking to you, Seon. What you're talking about is so foreign to me. Because I've never had that experience, and many of us women haven't. Many of us have had the opposite, where we have children and our children come after the women, friends or whomever. So, it's just like a breath of fresh air to hear you. And I know there's many men like you. And I think this is such an amazing show, because we can see that it is great fathers out there first. And I often say, if a woman's meeting a man, dating a guy, and, he puts her first, he has to give her his money, he has to give her all his time, or she's jealous or tiring up his time for his children, you have to question, what's really going on here? Is this a good relationship? Because your children see it. So I just commend you. I'm just sitting here saying, oh, that's so amazing. So, Shawnette, how do you find dating?
Well, first of all, I have a list, as I said. They're just
let's condense it.
This is I'm gonna condense it. There are just some things I'm just not gonna tolerate, and it doesn't usually take me long to find out. First and foremost, if a man is interested in dating me and he has children, he must have a relationship with those children. Even if it's bad blood between him and the mother, he must have a relationship with his children. If not, I'm not the one. I cannot tolerate men who are alcoholics. There's huge ramifications with that. There are many more, but those are like the main things. He doesn't have to be rich, and some ladies are just like, oh, I want a rich man that's gonna tell me I don't have to work anymore. I don't even care that he's a blue collar worker, that he has just an average job. That doesn't bother me, and he has to treat me well. Anybody that's gonna raise their voice at me, it's just a wrap.
So as it relates to, thank you for condensing your list, because I know your list, and we'll be here till tomorrow.
Yes.
But as it relates to your boys,
yes.
What are some of the deal breakers that because you got man, we know this, and people think, oh, that man that outside the house, I can do what I like, but I don't feel that way, because I believe my children have a say in everything.
Right.
But so how do you feel about dating a guy and you introducing your children? How does that look? How does it have to look for you to continue on?
I'm not sure what the youngest one would say, but the eldest one's just like, Mommy, whatever makes you happy. He don't care if the guy is 25, 55, or 95. He's just like, just do, live your life, whatever makes you happy. And I think at this point, I'm not so concerned about what they think. I just knew what I want for me, right? In terms of anything else, I also work a lot. I have to work the way I work. I've just finished putting my youngest one through school, you know, and that's another thing, you know, it took him a little longer to finish.
Right.
And
So your finances were tied up.
Finances are just, yeah.
Were tied up. But
Yeah.
only your finances were tied up at that. So how does it look dating a guy? You meet this guy and, you know, I've got my boys and, for instance, he don't have time for your children. Is that a deal breaker?
Well, I would, at this stage, I think because of the age that they are, I would expect him to respect them. If I've actually never met a person that has met my two sons and don't like them.
Okay.
Everybody loves my sons.
Okay.
So I'd be shocked in that instance.
So that would be a deal breaker.
Yeah, but if he would have to respect my sons,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Yes.
You know.
So yes, so and your long list. So anybody out there listening, Shawnette, her list is real long. So you gotta come
and
real
you know what?
strong.
And I've been divorced now for a long time,
So you had
and so
enough
all of
time.
my friends and acquaintances, like they're meeting these men like every 6 seconds, and they're so excited, and I literally just sit there and just wait for the shoe to drop, and then the boo-hooing starts, and it's just like I could have told you that. You know?
So no, it's just watching everybody. She's waiting for her. She's just watching yours drop. But you know, and you talked a lot about work and how you have to balance that, and you know, you're always working. I know you do. You work day, you work night, you work wherever it needs to come.
I work
and
a
I'm
lot.
sure you do whatever you have to do to make ends meet, to make sure your children have what they need. Let me switch up here a bit and talk about a positive. What's one of the positives that you can say as it relates to a work-life balance that you think you are teaching your children?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, actually, I've been very bad with it, to be very honest. It's just been up until recent, maybe like the last maybe 2 years, where I just had to sort of proverbially move everything off my plate, push things off, move it around. And it's gotten a lot better now for me, especially with daughters, because daughters, they're cool, they do their own thing, they're in school, they're in university, they're doing and when they want dad, they want to be able to pick up your phone and have you on the other end. So in my current role, my career choice being a prison officer and also serving as the chair of the association, it's a lot of meetings, a lot of time, a lot of reading, a lot of research, and after a while, you just have to put it down and take care of what's important, which is your family. You know?
So and what I mean by that is, I often say for myself, you know, a lot of experiences that I've endured over the years. You know, I was a teen mom, single parent, and horrible relationship, and all that before I met my amazing husband. But one of the things I often say is, I want my children to not be me, but I want them to see that there's no excuse, there's no limit out there. And so everything that I do, I want them to know that they can do it too, and beyond. So that's what I mean by the work-life balance. What do you think you're teaching them? So before we get that answer, we'll be right back. You don't want to miss it.
Relationship Theory. We'll be right back after these messages.